and how we measure it. How do we measure how livable a city is? And how do we have steps to actually have that happen? Okay, livability. Livability is a simple concept. It's how we live, how we play, how we work. Humans are creatures of habitat. They are connected to their comfort zones. Happiness and content are affected by internal and external factors. It's a decision. We decide to be happy. But it's also affected by our surroundings, our built environment. As urban planners, we always think, how can we really enhance that? How can we give you the best quality of life, regardless of your age or your gender or your beliefs? Saying that, we have a tool. It's called a master plan. A master plan is a dynamic document, a multi-layer document that really graphs how the city grows and how it expands and its development. The first layer is really tells us what's on the ground, like the geographics of the place, the hills, the mountains, the sea. The other layer tells us who owns what, property. And then we have the engineering side, where the utilities are, where the streets are. The next layer is planning. It's the people that tell us where the residential areas are, where the commercial areas are. All of these layers really work for what's really important, which is society and social factors. We need to remember that we plan and we design homes and residents and cities for us, for the people to be happy. Like I said, master plan tells us analysis, recommendation on land use, transportation, and basically everything, utilities, transportation. Saying that, the amazing thing is that some people came up with a way to measure how livable your city is. It's called the Global Livability Index. There are many entities that do this, like Forbes, UNDP, many lifestyle magazines. They have many different indicators that tell us really how tolerable, intolerable, livable your city is. They have many indicators, but they all fall under 5 groups: quality of life, productivity, infrastructure, sustainability, and equity and social inclusion. When I say quality of life, I mean when we go to a city, what do you think of? The last time you went to a city. We think of the educational services. We think of the healthcare. We think of the amusement we might find. Can I do my hobbies there? And then I think, can I find a job there? Productivity. Okay, I got there. How do I get to my job? Infrastructure. Does it have a good transportation system? And then I need to think about sustainability. While jogging in the street, am I going to breathe fresh air? Am I going to have trees to enjoy their shade? Okay. Then I need to think, am I going to have a say? Is my voice going to be heard to actually implement how the growth of my city is going to be? Let's think a moment and reflect on the cities we live in. Coming from the airport from Aqaba, it took me an hour to get here because of traffic. Because Amman, you see, was really developed in an organic way. It wasn't planned. And if I compare it to Aqaba, which is really not a fair comparison because Amman is so populated, Aqaba has a master plan, meaning the streets have allocated areas for expansion if the population increases. Another thing I want to tell you about it is when you first go there, the first thing you see is the sea. And this is really a luxury not everybody gets. But a planning decision said that the houses need to be a certain height so everybody can get to see the sea wherever they are. Us architects are romantics. We think of theories. We keep on thinking and dreaming of how we want places to be. One of the most famous theories is the garden city of Ebenezer Howard, which he did in the 1800s. His idea was really sort of a combination of town and city, getting the best of both worlds. Basically, he said, we want a grand park, and then we'll have the museums and galleries all around it. After that layer, we'll have a magnificent boulevard, 36 meters wide, and excellently built houses around it. Imagine living in this city. The last layer is going to be a stretch of agriculture land, feeding this city, which is about 30,000 people in population, meaning it's not really that dense. His idea of expansion was really sort of having a nucleus in the middle. It's for public services, a city center, let's call it. And then you have satellites of these neighborhoods around it, connected in a really excellent infrastructure of roads and railroads. And in that way, you have really the best parts of really living in the low-key, good scenery of a town, yet the good services of a city. Another theory we think about is called home zone theory. This is really actually going back and re-owning the streets. The streets are not for cars. They're for us. We should be enjoying them. Saying that, I mean, as a pedestrian, I need to walk in a street where I have space and have a tree next to me. And then I can have my bicycle lane. There are flower beds and benches. There are many theories. One of them, for example, is planning for sustainable city. That's just a lot of fancy words to actually mean that there needs to be a balance between humans and the resources they have in their city. It's just simple stuff like allocating lands for gardens, just reserving them for that. Or maybe having the stories of a building only 3 stories high so we can have the consumption lower for the energy. Okay. Let's think about the most livable cities. The professionals, like I said, came up with a way to actually measure this. So they told us there are a lot of most livable cities. Let's take some examples. In the Far East, Singapore, for example. Singapore was a British colony in the 1800s and had some lands that really were not really developable. But they made a decision. We want to be one of the most livable cities in the world. So they put a plan, and they stuck to it. And they got their technology to cater for all their ideas, like good sewage, like affordable housing. Seoul, for example. Seoul has a plan for 2030. The amazing thing here, what they did was that the citizens really had the say in how their plan goes forward. They said they wanted a safe city, a global city with a good job market. And they wanted a vibrant city with culture and heritage. Well, you know, Europe is full of most livable cities. One example is Zurich, for example. It has the best transportation system in the world. It's a leader in climate change. I'm going to tell you another example in the region. It's the Mohammed bin Rashid Garden Cities. This was done on the garden city theory of Howard. The idea of it was having scaled down neighborhoods that can actually were on the human scale. I can walk to everything I need. And then there was different neighborhoods and they were connected to each other. Here what they did was really preserve their culture and their heritage so they didn't get drawn to the globalization that's happening and having all the cities look like each other. The thing I wanted to mention here is that there was a lifestyle magazine called Monocle. They did an exercise in 2018 before the pandemic of really measuring how about 200 cities, if they're livable or not. The 25 most livable cities, 15 of them were in Europe. 3 were in Japan. 1 was in North America, which is Vancouver. But none really were in Africa, South America, or South Asia. I really think that needs to change. We all deserve to live in livable cities. All kids deserve to have a quality childhood. I thought of this, and really, you know, it's hard to manage a city. We need to all agree on that. People managing a city have a very difficult time. It's very difficult. But there's a 7-step recipe we can follow. First of all, good governance. and leadership. If you want to start, you need to have a leader with ambition and with vision. If you can do that, then you're on your way to start. A holistic approach. We can't take bits and pieces. A city is a living organism. We need to tackle it as a holistic, the right technology. We are building cities for our future, for our kids, for our grandkids. And these guys really are in touch with their technology. We need to build smart cities with smart transportation. We need to predict the disasters, the flood disasters, for example, before they happen. Civic engagement. If I get my voice heard, then I'll probably support all the procedures and policies that the government gives me. And that's really having my word heard by them. Green and brown agenda. Sustainability, in essence, is really investing now for the future, for our future. Informal settlements. We can't shy away from our challenges, the slum areas. We need to go back and think about them and try to fix them with policies, programs, procedures. Okay. Well, we need to mention wealth. Wealth is a big driver for change. But what's really important are the programs, the policies, because those really are what's important, what really can get us going and really sustainable for the futures to come. Okay, you're telling me you architects are just romantics, you're just telling us all these words, and really, how can we implement this? Let's start by this. In a city, you have the public and you have the private sectors. These need to have a marriage. They need to work together. There are different kinds of projects in any city. You have the enablers. These are projects that are not investment viable, but are essential for economic development, for attracting investments. You have infrastructure projects. These are projects that require a large sum of investment, and their return on investment is going to need very long periods of time. These are done usually by the government, like ports, airports, and investing in the industrial sector. You need these two to actually go to the good stuff, the commercial projects, the projects that create the jobs. So it's sort of a partnership, public-private partnership, let's say, between the both to actually implement change and start the development. Okay, great. What do we do now? Well, remember the romantic stuff that we were talking about? You connect that with financial model, then you have something called a strategic plan. And then you bring your people and you train them to do that. That's called capacity building. Once these people are around, you think of projects, actual physical projects you need on the ground, and you put a budget to them and a timeline, KPIs, really measurable stuff that we can get right now started. That's called a business plan. And if you have that, then you're on your way. In conclusion, all of us need to think how we can be more effective and in the lives of the people around us and on our lives. What if I'm a gardener? If I'm planting trees and making beautiful flowers? Or I'm a landscape architect drawing them? Or a taxi driver in the middle of the traffic congestion? What can I do? Well, I can get my voice heard. I can tell people my ideas of how this traffic congestion can be lowered. We all have an impact. We all have a say. We can all start by caring, because every soul serves a function in society, is worthy of respect. Like my dad, Professor Khalid Tarawneh said. Thank you all for listening. Shukran كتير.